Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying your snow day. And I want you to get outside and I want you to play and have fun, but I also want you to check out this video to get you ready for math when we come back to school on Tuesday. This rapid review video is asking the question, how do we add fractions with unlike denominators? Well, guess what? Tony Stark thinks that's an excellent question, and so do I. That's what this video is about. So let's take a look at a problem. 1/2 plus 2/3. Now in 4th grade, you were adding fractions with like denominators. The denominators were the same, and you remember from 4th grade that we can never add the denominators when we're looking at fractions. That's the same when we have unlike denominators as well. We can't just go across and add the numerators and add the denominators and be done with it. Instead, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find equivalent fractions that have a common denominator. So we're going to be changing our 1/2 and changing our 2/3 so that their denominators are the same, because we can only add fractions once the denominators are the same. Today I'm going to be showing you how to find the easiest common denominator. So let's take a look at our problem. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the problem vertically, because that's going to help me when I change my fractions to an equivalent fraction with a common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite 1/2 and 2/3. All right. So right now when I look at these fractions, I see that their denominators are not the same, so I cannot add them. But what I can do is I can think about a number, a multiple of 2 and of 3 that would be the same. When I look at the easiest common denominator, this is the easiest way to find that multiple. All you do is take your two denominators, your 2 and your 3, and you multiply them together to get your easiest common denominator. And that would be 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So my easiest common denominator is 6. I'm going to be creating fractions, equivalent fractions, whose denominator equals 6. So up here, I'm going to turn 1/2 into a fraction with a denominator of 6, and I'm going to turn 2/3 into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 6, because I can only add fractions once the denominators are the same. Now, do you remember how to change fractions into equivalent fractions? That's right, we just multiply our numerator and our denominator. So when I go here to 1/2, I know that 2 times 3 equals 6. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I have to say 1 times 3, and that gives me the answer of 3. So 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. Let's go down and look at 2/3. 3 times 2 equals 6. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 2 times 2 equals 4. So my equivalent fraction for 2/3 is 4/6. Now let's look at our new equivalent fractions. 3/6 plus 4/6. Well now I can add my fractions easy peasy lemon squeezy. Again, remember, never add the denominators, only the numerators. 3 plus 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, and bring down your 6. So my answer is 7/6. But wait a minute. We know about 7/6. 7/6 is an improper fraction. So we're going to need to turn it into a mixed number to get our true answer. Do you remember how to go from an improper fraction to a mixed number? That's right. It's just division, because fractions are division. So we could read that as 7/6, or we could read that as 7 divided by 6. So let's do it. 6 into 7. Well, 6 can go into 7 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract it out, and you get 1 left over. Do you remember how to read it? That's right. The quotient becomes your whole number. So when I turn it into a mixed number, I have 1 whole. The remainder turns into your numerator, 1, and the divisor turns into your denominator of 6. So my answer to 1/2 plus 2/3 is 1 1/6. That is my final answer to the addition problem for fractions. Wasn't too bad, right? Let's try another one to make sure you really know what you're doing. 3/5 plus 8/12. Again, we're looking first at those denominators. I see that the denominators are not the same, and I can never add denominators, but I can add fractions until I find that common denominator. And again, we're going to look for the easiest common denominator. The way that we find the easiest common denominator is just to take our two denominators and multiply them. So we're going to do 5 times 12, and that equals 60. We know that because it's just a simple math fact. So my new denominator is going to be 60. It's my easiest common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite my fractions. 3/5 plus 8/12. And I'm going to turn those fractions into equivalent fractions with common denominators. And my new denominator is going to be 60. Because I know that 5 and 12 can both go into 60. 60 is a multiple of both numbers. So now I have to create those equivalent fractions. So 5 times 12 equals 60. What you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 3 times 12 equals 36. So my equivalent fraction for 3/5 is 36/60ths. Let's look at 8/12. 12 times 5 equals 60. What I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. 8 times 5 equals 40. So 8/12 is an equivalent fraction to 40/60ths. All right, now I have two fractions with common denominators, so now I can add them, remembering that we never add denominators. We're only going to add those numerators. So we're only going to add 36 plus 40. This is going to be a pretty big one, but we can do it. 6 plus 0 is 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my answer is 76. And then my denominator stays the same. My denominator will be 60. 76/60ths. Well, that's another improper fraction. That means I need to turn it into a mixed number to get my answer. Do you remember how we go from an improper fraction to a mixed number? That's right, it's just division again. 76/60ths, or 76 divided by 60. And that's the problem that we're going to solve to turn our improper fraction into a mixed number. 76 divided by 60. Here we go. 60 into 76. Well, how many times can 60 go into 76? Well, we know at least once. 1 times 60 is 60. Subtract, and you get 16 left. 60 can't go into 16, so I stop. Remember, the quotient becomes your whole number. So there's one whole. The remainder becomes your new numerator, 16, and the denominator is the divisor out of 60. So my answer is 1 16/60ths. That's a great answer. But we can reduce that number to make a simplified fraction. A simplified fraction just means that we're finding the smallest equivalent fraction that one can become. Because you never know what you might see in real life. 16/60ths might be easy, or it might be easier to find a simplified fraction. So here's how we find a simplified fraction. We're going to look at our fraction part, not the whole number, 16/60ths. Do you notice how they're both even numbers? That means that we can divide both numbers by 2. So I'm going to take 16 divided by 2, and what I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So I'm going to divide 60 by 2 to find me an equivalent fraction. That's a little bit more simplified. 16 divided by 2 becomes 8. 60 divided by 2 becomes 30. Still two even numbers, right? That means I can divide it by 2 again. 8 divided by 2, 30 divided by 2. Again, I'm just trying to find the most simplified fraction. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 4 and 15, those are not both even numbers, so 2 can't go into it. Is there any number that I could divide evenly into 4 and 15? Nope, there's not. So that's my simplified fraction. It's the smallest my fraction can go. So my final answer, mixed number, simplified fraction, is 1 4/15. All right, so going back up here to my problem, 3/5 plus 8/12 equals 1 4/15. Pretty crazy, right? But using what we've learned in this rapid review video, you should now be able to add fractions with unlike denominators. All right, so hopefully I have now given your brain something to think about. Here's what I'd like for you to do. Sometime during your snow day, I have 5 problems that I would like for you to solve using what you've learned in this rapid review video. Again, this will help us since we're missing a whole day of math class. Solve these 5 problems and bring in your answers on Tuesday for us to go over. Have a happy snow day!